All right. So we had a little humor in that last part. And when the servant comes up and he says, I'm supposed to do this great job, but I can't read. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this. And Benvolio and Romeo are coming up. Now, Benvolio and Romeo are having their own conversation right now, and they're talking. And Benvolio's like, "Oh, you know what? There's ways around this. We can cure this lovesick thing that you've got. People fall in love, and these things happen, and you get over your broken heart." And Romeo, we see just how heartbroken he really is. He says, because Benvolio says, "Oh, are you mad now that I've said, get over it?" And Romeo says, "I'm not mad. It's like being in a prison and no food. I can't hardly contain myself." Like, he's so sad. And then they see this servant, and Romeo says hello. And the servant asks if Romeo can read. And Romeo, of course, is still in his own little misery mind here. And he says, "Oh, my unfortunate misery. What will I do?" And the servant says, "Well, can you read anything that you can see?" And Romeo says, if I know the letters in the language, absolutely." And the servant says, "Oh, thank goodness, I'm saved here." So he says, "Will you go ahead and um, can you read this to me?" So Romeo goes through and he says, "Yes, I can read. Let me see. Oh, Signor Martino and his wife and daughters." All this is, guys, is just a list of those who are going to be invited to this party for the Capulets. Now, keep in mind, Romeo is a Montague, and so the servant just asked a Montague for help. And so he goes through all of these people who are supposed to come, and he says, "Well, now wait a minute, this is an assembly. Where exactly is this?" And the servant ends up saying, "Well, he's coming. They're all coming to my house. To whose house? Well, my master's house." And Romeo says, "Okay, I get it. Who is the master?" And the servant says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's the great Capulet. And you know what? If you're not a Montague, you should totally come to this party. Thank you so much for helping." So the servant inadvertently invited a Montague to the party without knowing he was a Montague. Now, he did make the comment. He says, "Now, if you're a Montague, you can't come." But you know how that goes. So Benvolio makes the comment, and he says, "Oh, it's a feast of the Capulets and fair Rosaline." So we do find out that Rosalind, whatever, she is the one at the party. And that is who Romeo is madly in love with. Okay. So he's in love with Rosaline and he wants to go and see her. And Benvolio says, "Hey, we were just invited to this party that she's at. I say we go and we'll look. But when we go, I want you to be open-minded because there's going to be a lot of pretty girls there. And so when you go in, you're going to look around and you're going to compare her face with all these other pretty girls out there and see if is she really all that in a bag of chips?" And so Romeo thinks about this for a little bit, and eventually he says, "I'm never going to ever look at anybody the way that I see Rosaline, but you know what? I will go along just to humor you, to show I'm right and this is the woman for me."